A big announcement from the Pac-12 today. All fall sports are on hold due to the pandemic. Orlando Sanchez joins us now. And Orlando, there's been a lot of talk about football, but this is a delay for all of our sports, right?
Yes, exactly, Brittany. All sports competitions within the Pac-12 conference have been postponed through the end of this year. So no football, no basketball, anything that normally would have been played at this time until the end of the calendar year have been postponed. Today, the vote within the Pac-12 conference was unanimous to shut down competition until at least January 1st, 2021. Health and safety was at the top of the list. The short and long-term health effects of COVID-19. There was also concerns for more testing. Traveling to different places, especially flying commercially, was also a concern. Pac-12 Commissioner Larry Scott said college sports can't operate in a bubble like some pro sports are doing because they're part of a broader campus community. University of Oregon President Michael Schill, along with the medical advisory board, said they talked to students, coaches, athletic directors before coming to this decision.
We are science-based, right? We're academics. We are going to be looking at facts, not just opinions, and that's something that we're deeply committed to. At the same time, as Larry said, we fully understand that this has tremendous human impacts. We have students whose dream it was to play this year, and that dream, at least in the fall, is not going to happen.
He added there were just too many questions, too many unknowns about this pandemic to play this fall. Now, Commissioner Scott, he added that scholarships would be guaranteed for those athletes. So that's a good sign for them. And at this point is strongly encouraging the NCAA to get that year back, to extend players' eligibility for that year that they're losing. But that's ultimately up to the NCAA, Brittany.
Yeah, there are so many factors when it comes to this. So Orlando, what's next for college football overall?
Yeah, and that was obviously a big topic of conversation that we've been having since March. And not every conference is shutting it down up to this point. So within the Pac-12 conference specifically, that decision has to be made on whether to play games at the beginning of this year and how many games they should play in 2021. So even if they get to that point, they've got a lot of decisions ahead in terms of logistics and how many games players can physically play in one calendar year. It goes down to ultimately where we are within this pandemic. Oregon State Athletic Director Scott Barnes, he says that OSU athletes will still have access to their athletic facilities. The last time that Oregon and Oregon State did not play a football season was back in 1943 and 1944 during World War II. So that shows you just how significant this decision really is and something that is truly unprecedented for college sports right now. But there are still a lot of questions to be answered. But the one thing we do know right now is that there will not be sports within the Pac-12 conference until the end of this year, at least. Back to you.